Okay, so next in our Science Olympiad Wright stuff kit goings on, we have the Guru prop plane, Guru Engineering Tech prop plane as it's called. They didn't write that on there, I did. So they send you a nice kind of nondescript looking box, except it just has the, oh, it does say propeller plane. It has number 1 on there. So, pop this guy open. So Guru Engineering Tech is actually set up as a 501c3. So they're a non-profit. Kits are pretty affordable at $30 a piece for the propeller plane, as it's called. And so it's wrapped nicely in tissue here. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to gently just lift everything out of here. And we'll set the box over here with all my other Science Olympiad building goodies. Alright, so before I get into the contents, I'm just going to set this back over here. So you get quite the packet of stuff here. And I know some of this is plans. So we'll set the plans aside. Well, actually, no, we'll pop the plans open because plans are cool to look at. Who doesn't want to look at plans? Alright. My wife is over here making faces at me. Right, so these are your parts for this stuff. This says combination A. This also says combination A. Combination B. I'm not entirely sure that I understand. Oh, okay, it's printed on both sides. So basically you're getting 2 sets of plans. Interesting. I'm assuming this mainly has to do with the tip plate configuration. So, let's set that aside for a minute. Now, let's go in. So, the supply bag contains propellers, nose hooks, and nose hook stiffeners, O-rings, dental bands, pins for the rear hook, square plastic tube, I have no idea what that's for, wing posts, does contain some carbon fiber, video access codes. Sorry for all the background noise, everybody's excited about other things. Alright, so here's the bottom line. You open this thing up, talks about the plans a little bit. So this is a traditional stick build, so you do have to build it over the plans. So spars are 1/16 inch square. And there's a bunch of laser cut, yada yada yada. And I think, alright, so they show putting some carbon fiber on the fuselage assembly and whatnot, using a straight pin for your rear hook. Usual stuff for the covering film, so you're using veggie bag plastic just like is used for the laser cut planes kit. And he says use a soldering iron to cut the plastic film on there. And then discussion about how to do dihedral. Some nifty wing posts on this plane, and okay, now I see what the square tubing is for. So that's for your incidence adjustments. And okay, so now I follow. All right, so there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do this with a single center line rudder that's you're able to twist to do your trimming, or tip plates. I would recommend the tip plates. I don't think the center rudders are really the ultimate end-all be-all. Just my opinion on the matter. Looks like it builds out into a pretty straightforward airplane. And there's some discussions on how to fly it, which is always good. And So this airplane is designed to use a fairly small propeller, running fairly fast. So let's look at the contents then. So you've got the little small Ikara props in here. You've got these look like basswood wing posts, the traditional Ikara fittings. I personally don't care for those, but they do work. This is 1/16 inch Tan 2 rubber, or Tan Super Sport, sorry. We'll set that aside. Some carbon fiber, covering material, a few other goodies in there. And then we look in here. Very nice laser cut parts, looks like. Go ahead and carefully peel this off. If I'm not mistaken, this, let me get all of this out of the way here. If I'm not mistaken, these build 2 airplanes. Yeah, 2 airplanes. So it's pretty reasonably priced for what you're getting. Some of that is because this is a 501c3, so not for profit, all that. There we go. So pretty nifty rib sets and whatnot in here. Looks like all of your ribs are the same. Yes, they are. There's a few other goodies in here. Wood, all the strip wood appears to be fairly hard, not a problem. I'll have to study out what the differences are among some of this. Because you've got these long pieces, and then you've got at least three shorter pieces, 4. And then these, I assume, this 1/8 inch square balsa is presumably for your tail booms. I will say it's a little inconsistent in thickness and whatnot. Then you've got these big pieces, which I am assuming are for your motor sticks. And frankly, I mean, they're good, light, decently light wood. Maybe a little overkill. If you look at the laser cut planes, fuselages, way thinner than that. So anyway, pretty complete part set and whatnot. Definitely some ways of getting things down onto a budget build. So I mean, it works out to $15 an airplane, which is quite good. So I'm actually gonna go off camera. I'm gonna build this out. So I'll explain to you beforehand how I'm gonna build it out. I'm just going to cut my, I don't know if I can get in here. So this is designed for you to build over the plans and just, not worry if you glue things down to the plans. But you build this airplane out, just over this, you cut the parts to size using the plans as your guide, and you kind of, you go from there. Looks like the tip plates glue directly on top of the flying surfaces. You do want to check your wing cord and all that accordingly, but you just use this to lay this piece on here. I don't have a razor blade handy. Mine just got swept under the masses of everything else. Snip it to size and so on. I think the wing spars might be a little on the light side for a Science Olympiad airplane. Just my personal take on it, but they'll get the job done. So anyway, we'll step back in later. Alright, so I've got the flying surfaces built out for the little Guru plane here. So what I did is I actually marked the spars over the plans after I cut the parts to size using the plans, and then I just built it out here flat on the table. I use Gorilla CA because I'm lazy and in a hurry. And I get fairly square surfaces. Those of you that like stuff that interlocks and whatnot, obviously you're going to be, don't. But this is kind of a traditional build. Nothing wrong with that. Builds out nice and light. there's no extra wood in it. Okay, so as I was saying, these have pretty nifty little wingtips. So let me show you what we're looking at. So these are your little wingtip things. So they build out like this. So these are very light. It's two-piece assembly, pretty cool. The grain is going this way, so these are kind of fragile. So that's the one thing I would say is there's some issue with grain direction. But other than that, pretty cool. And you've got lots of extra wing ribs if you break a bunch of ribs or something. But like I said, as long as you pay attention here, pin this down. It's a fairly easy build, but it's it's not one of these self-jigging things. You actually have to build it like a real model airplane. So we're going to set that aside, build out some of the rest of the parts, and then we'll come back and cover these. And I'm probably not going to go into any detail on covering this because I already did this. Since this uses the veggie bag material, refer to the laser cut planes video that I did, or review, whatever you want to call it, that I did, where I showed covering the flying surfaces on that one, because this one is going to be exactly the same. Okay, so time for some final assembly. I crinkled the plastic just like I did for the laser cut planes kit. I think it gives you a little bit better of a covering job. I have to look in the instructions on this again. I'm wanting to say that there was mention of using a covering frame. Hold on. But using a covering frame is distinctly easier. You don't get as good of a covering job just covering on a table like this. But the result is good. From an aerodynamic perspective, I'd say these wings are pretty close to perfect for all of that. I think that, like I said, I think the spars are a little on the skinny side, but you're getting a very good aerodynamic result. I will mention one thing. Some of the spars are thicker in one dimension than the other, and I use the thicker dimension this way, and you need to match the stiffness of these spars so that, because these are a little bit on the flexy side, you want them to deflect equally under load or weird stuff happens, and you don't want weird stuff to happen because it's confusing and you'll be like, what's going on? And that's the last thing you'll think of as being an issue. So anyway, we can glue these wingtips on. They go on pretty quick. There's no front and back to the wing. It's just, whatever. Personally, I think these tip plates are a little on the small side. They certainly don't hurt, but I think they could be bigger. If you want to talk about optimal tip plates, I think the ones that we used on the Senior Flyer are probably pretty close to the ultimate. And if you'll notice, the Finney plane that my flying buddy Bill Gowan uses also uses very thin sheet tip plates. We actually went to foam tip plates towards the end of this contest season because we had trouble getting consistent supplies of lightweight 132nd, and so planes were building a bit on the heavy side. So that kind of eliminated that problem. One thing I will mention, I had a little bit of an ubu in my covering job, and so I ended up with this wing being skewed a little bit. So, sorry, the tail that is. So the ribs are kind of skewed this way just a little bit. So you're going to want to make sure, if you have something like that happen, that you mount the thing with the on your tail boom, so you still get your left rudder in there. Now, I've already assembled the fuselage here. They say to put some carbon over the top. There's carbon supplied in the kit. Look, guys, this thing is built like an Abrams tank. You do not need carbon on it. The Laser Cut Planes kit has that skinny fuselage. It could use carbon. It could use it big time. This thing does not need carbon. I did not use it. Icara front end, they give you a basswood insert to stiffen this up, and then you glue it down, bind it in place. You bend your own hook out of a straight pin supplied in the kit. Not the greatest. This tip right here should angle forward to keep the rubber motor from slipping up here against the motor stick. I'm building it per the plans though. So the next thing is you've got this wing mount. I did not make it exactly per the plans because I wasn't paying attention. But they've got these interesting little plastic tubes that you use, but they fit a little on the loose side. So I'm going to stiffen, bulk up my wing posts with a little bit of CA here. And hopefully that's going to make this give me a nice tight fit. We'll see here in just a minute if I cannot glue myself to the container of accelerator. No comments from the peanut gallery over there. Keep covering your wing. Don't talk to me. That's still not tightening up. I think you're probably supposed to wrap this in tape or something. Which is actually what I'm going to go do. Okay, so I got these put in here, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. The instructions I looked did not say anything about beefing these up to make them fit better. I don't know how well that shows up, but I glued a piece of wood on here, just some balsa wood scrap, to beef these, to fatten these up so they fit tighter. And that's kind of important. So anyway, what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this guy in place. You want to do it, as the instructions mention, you want to make sure the wing's not twisted or anything as you install it. One thing I am a little concerned by is there's no mention of installing any incidence angle in the wing or tail, so you end up with a 0-0 airplane that has the same airfoil front and back, and that can be a little bit of an issue. So, okay, got that in here. And I will say that I kind of like the way that the Laser Cut is doing their wings, so that everything basically locks in place, and you guarantee to basically get zero wing twist. Kind of handy. But this is not Laser Cut, this is a different airplane, and it is coming together rather nicely. So there's our wing mounted up on it. Take one of your little tail boom pieces here. It's just a stick of 1/8 square balsa. Glue this guy on here. I'm going to glue it with a tiny bit of left rudder. They do mention adding a little bit of left thrust in the propeller assembly, and I did do that. Give about 2-3 degrees per the instructions. I don't remember what side they show to install this on, but I'm going to do it on this side because I remember, pretty sure they said to install it on the side. You can do it on the top as well, whatever you want to do. But I am going to build it 0-0 per the instructions, and we'll add some incidence to the wing by adjusting it as per how the manufacturer suggests to do this. Alright, and so got that installed. Let me find the rubber bands out of the hardware pack here. And there we go. So we've got a couple of little dental bands same as a lot of manufacturers are supplying with these now. Those who have bought our TSA and, well, just our TSA kits so far will be aware of the fact that I have a little bit different of a trick that I play. I'll make you make your own rubber bands. And I have a variety of reasons for doing that. Now this is a little bit quirky to get installed on here. This is kind of one of the reasons I've been a little bit hesitant to switch to a wing mount idea like this. Definitely not one with rubber bands being supplied in, because they're so much of a pain to fit over here. But they do eventually, if you're patient with them, they will eventually go into place. And you do get a very secure wing mount here, so that part's acceptable, at least. Slide the wing in. And what I'm going to do is I have stuck this one flush with the bottom, and that one I've got sticking out a little bit. Airplane at the present is tremendously tail heavy feeling, although it is a tandem, so you can support a fairly aft CG. Now it's with the propeller balancing about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the, let's see, is that about the middle of the motor stick? Okay, so adding rubber is actually going to move our CG forward on this. So let's do a quick glide test here. Still a little bit nose heavy. Interesting. Alright, so I did notice the airplane was rolling a little bit too much to the left, and so I think what I'm going to do is, this is the left wing, I'm going to pinch this fingernail into the top of the wing. You see how I'm lifting that up? And that'll make that go away. Now you do want to glue that back, or glue that spot, because you've now weakened it. This is a very common adjustment I do to model airplanes. Alright, so two issues I have in the instructions. Not enough information about where to start with your CG. And I know I mentioned in the build video for the senior flyer where to start with the starting CG, and people still didn't get it with that. So if you say even less about it, issues there. The other thing is there's no actual documentation saying how long the rubber motor should be for starting out. Now, the instructions for winding the airplane are excellent, better than the ones I think for the laser cut planes kits for sure. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a motor that's about 1.2 times the hook to peg distance, so it'll hang a little bit slack, which I think is about what's being used on these based on the photo I saw. That didn't say, but looked about right. Now they say some stuff about opening up the propeller hook on these and whatnot. I'm inclined to say they're probably right. They're definitely right. However, it does lock in nicely, and those are tiny little hooks, so it's both a bug and a feature. Alright, so we've got our little Icara prop here that is quite low pitched in my opinion, but anyway. Let's see how this guy flies. And that was not encouraging. So I'm going to slide the wing even further forward here. I'm going to try to. Got quite a bit of positive wing incidence, so starting to wonder if I need even. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flex in some Wright rudder here. Like that. You see how I twisted that? So hopefully it's going to make that go away. And no, it didn't. So now I'm going to so I did build in a little bit of stab tilt, and I get rid of that now. I think the airplane is still under elevated, and adding incidence up front is not helping. Yeah. Alright, so see what I'm doing here. Add some stab incidence, which the instructions specifically said not to do. So give that some thought. And now I'm going to that twist back, because it wasn't turning enough once I did that. And now we've got a nice flight going. Alright, sorry to drift away there, but alright, so it flies now. So we'll pull a scale out and we'll weigh it and see how much the Guru prop plane weighs. So, get the scale out here. One thing I noticed with both this kit and the one from Laser Cut Planes is clay was not included, and I must confess, you need to include, actually no, I'm sorry, this one does include clay, never mind. I'm just going to shut up now. Alright, so this is pretty impressive. 8.0, wait, the bottom out. 8.020, 8.021. Alright, bottom line is, they build out the Guru prop plane, at least for me, and I didn't build particularly light, build out right to the minimum weight. That I find pretty cool. Since now the issue is it's going to build out overweight for you. If you add in all that carbon fiber, it's not going to add a huge amount of weight. It'll probably end up about 8.2. But the bottom line is this airplane is built pretty strong in terms of the fuselage. I did notice in my brief little bit of flying I didn't see a lot of deflection from the wings, so I think the 1/16 spars are actually about right for it. Seems quite strong. Builds to weight. I mean, you can load that fuselage down pretty heavily. I would actually suggest that with a larger prop this would be a pretty competitive airplane, but at that point now you've got another problem. I don't know if you noticed in the flight footage, and we're going to take this out hopefully this evening and fly it some more, but there is, as this plane flies, there you see a little bit of this movement going on, and that indicates even with the little propeller on here, these are too small. Those tail fins need to be bigger, and this is not a, I'm going to bash Guru Engineering Tech because this is my either tested or have seen flight footage of 3 kits now that I am convinced have excessively small rudders. I think the Laser Cut Planes kit, the rudder is too small on that one. It's about right, but it's too small, and if you put an optimal size propeller on it, you're going to see it Dutch rolling all over the place. The Freedom Flight kit, the rudder is way too small on that airplane for the big propeller they're running. Just is what it is. And I think that's also true on this airplane. So guys, this is to all of you manufacturers out there, put bigger rudders on your planes. I'm not known for using big rudders, so if I think your rudders are too small, they're too small. So anyway, we'll see you out on the flying field with this. Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.